Western women. Have you ever wondered what's wrong with them? I mean, seriously, all these poor men, 60, 70 years old, have to leave America and go to the Philippines to find a traditional woman because the women here in America are just so screwed up. I mean, all they want is money, you know, financial security, a nice house, you know? I mean, what's wrong with these people? It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, just imagine if you were a 20-something year old woman in America, you know, recent college grad, really pretty, looked like a supermodel. Wouldn't you want to be with some old guy who only has $1,500 a month coming in from Social Security? Let's be generous. Let's make it like $2,500, $3,000 a month coming in. When every time you turn on the news, you know that to even be able to afford a decent house in most states in America, if you really want to be able to do it without your mortgage being the vast majority of your income, you need to be making like $120,000, $130,000 a year. So, you know, what's not to love about a guy who can give you nothing? You know, it's really amazing. See these men who just hate Western women and talk about how all they care about is money and financial security and what you can do for them. But most guys never stop to put themselves in the other person's position at all. It's just, they act like there's something wrong with these women for having a brain and not being willing to just throw their life away to keep some old guy happy who can't give them anything, you know? So, alas, they have to leave America and go off to, you know, Southeast Asia or wherever the case may be. It was funny this morning. I'm off work today, and my wife still had to work. And, you know, I got up, made her a little breakfast. She's sitting there watching the news and the weather. And I got out the ironing board and ironed a shirt for her to wear to work today. And she was talking about, you know, how so many people over in the Philippines, they're so worried when a woman comes over here that they're going to end up being a slave or something, that the man is just bringing them over here to use them as a servant, and they're going to be just trapped in the house doing things for somebody who isn't giving them anything. And that's a realistic fear, I think, for a lot of people over there, because they hear horror stories from women who do come over here and are treated like that. It's easier, of course, if they get together with a man over in the Philippines and they're still living there and their family and all their relatives are around. If the foreigner starts treating them badly, you know, they can have their family go kick his ass, you know, or do something in the barangay or with the government and get him kicked out. Over here in America, when they come off to stay in another country where they've never been before, and they're on the other side of the planet from all their family and the friends that they have grown up with for their whole life, they put themselves in a really vulnerable position. And sadly, there are a lot of men who abuse women and take advantage of them and bring them over here, and just, it's not a good situation. So you can see where that fear comes from. But it's funny when you look at some of these expats forums, YouTube videos, whatever, you see all these guys talking about how you have to go somewhere else to find a decent woman because the women here in the West, all they care about is money, what you can do for them. But seriously, if you were a young woman and you're looking forward to the future, you're thinking about having kids, a family, someplace where you can have a stable existence for the 20, 30, 40 years that you need to have to be able to raise those children and to give them a good life like your parents tried to do for you. What are you going to be looking for, you know? Are you going to be looking for some old guy who, aside from any, physical issues we can talk about where, let's be honest, when you're 60 years old, it's not like being a young guy who is, revved up on testosterone, walking around rock hard 24 hours a day. And, those kinds of issues like that. But just from a purely practical point of view, what can you give a woman? If you're already at an age where you don't really have, let's be realistic, a huge amount of time left on the planet. And on top of that, you don't really have financial security that you can give someone. So what is it that you are bringing to the table for them? That's the thing. I mean, your life experience, giving them some good advice, they're probably look and think, well, if you have so much good advice to give me, why is it that you're in this situation, 70 years old, and your savings is all gone, and all you've got to live on is Social Security, So where's all this great advice coming from that you have to offer people when that's the situation you're in? It's the same thing, let's be honest, with some of these YouTubers over in the Philippines. I'll talk about the ones in the Philippines just because that's, my area of interest. But it's the same with some of these other countries too. They have, they're living over there, and it's obvious, and they'll be honest about telling you that the reason they are there is because they don't have the resources to really live the kind of life they would like to live in the West. A lot of these people who are living in the Philippines or Southeast Asia, I always was fascinated by those areas when I was young too. Some of these different tropical areas, or the Oriental places, different cultures. But a lot of these people, if they had $200-300 grand a year coming in or something, and they could afford to live in a really nice house on the coast of Florida here, or somewhere, in another nice American city with every possible convenience you can imagine, and world-class medical care right next door, they would probably not be slumming it, so to speak, in some little country where they don't have access to any of those things. So they sit around on YouTube and they offer advice and tell you how to be successful with your life. They tell women how they should act. But where is all this expertise coming from? Because they, if they had that much expertise, they wouldn't be in that situation to start with themselves, And that's the issue. What do you bring to the table? Because a young woman, a beautiful young woman, looks like a supermodel, funny, full of life, happy, wants to just enjoy, being in this world and having a family and taking care of them. And especially if she came from a really nice family herself, she knows what that's like. So she's not going to settle for something less than that, And that's the problem with a lot of men. They don't put themselves in that woman's position, and they kind of expect for them to settle, just to settle for something else. They aren't interested in settling. Settling down maybe, but not settling for less. And I don't know where some of these expats are coming from. It's a totally different situation when you go over, got the kind of the light there behind me, huh? When you go, my shoulder is locking up. See, that's what happens when you're old. Go over there to these other countries where the level of income that you have coming in, you can actually live a good life, a really good life in a lot of these places. And that changes the equation. If you can move to a different country where the amount of money you have coming in actually provides for a really awesome life, and you can get involved with someone. You're capable of setting them up with a decent place to live, a nice house, help take care of their family, and if they have any, or if you have any children with them, that there's not going to be any issue with being able to take care of them. That's really the same situation. The men who are talking like Western women are evil, they want the same things that those women over in those other countries want. It's just that in those other countries, it doesn't take as much income to provide those women with these things. If you're talking about a place where people are lucky if they make $1,000 a month, and you're living in a place like that, and you're coming in there with $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and you don't really have any other obligations to take care of. You don't have a lot of family or anything to take care of. It's just you. You can give that woman a decent life, But it's not like she's really that different from a Western woman, because the Western woman is just wanting the same things. Problem is that over here in the West, takes a lot of money to provide those things these days. That's why everybody is leaving the country to try and make their money go farther. That's why so many people are, I don't know, right now we're in this bubble where housing prices seem to be, still going up a little in some places, but it's gonna fall sometime. It's gonna fall. People can't afford to keep living the way they are. Everybody's living on credit cards. They don't have the money to pay their bills. A lot of businesses don't have the money to pay their rent even. Their long-term future is in doubt. And sooner or later, we're going to get to the point where the government can't just keep pumping more money into the system and trying to pretend that everything's okay, just so everyone will vote for them and think that the world is going as it should, because it's not. And anybody who looks at the science, the facts and figures, knows that we're in an unsustainable situation. And whenever it falls, excuse me, I'm moving my phone around here. Whenever it falls and things collapse, it's not going to be pretty. But for people who can take advantage of an opportunity to move overseas, it's not too bad an idea, Walking our puppy. And I guess, long story short, that's just the message. Put yourself in the position of these other people that you're criticizing. These women, there's nothing evil about these Western women. I don't know how a man from the West can say those things, because Western women, our mothers, our sisters, if we have children, our daughters, are all Western women, What's so horrible about the people, these are our people, and men like to criticize them just because they won't give it up for free to them. If you're a beautiful young woman, you know what you have to offer someone. And you're not just going to give that away for nothing, It's, what it's worth. And for someone to come along and expect for you just to give it away and not get anything in return is silly. But that's what a lot of men apparently want. They think, well, women should just be there for their entertainment or pleasure or whatever, and not care what they get out of the situation. That just doesn't make much sense. So, Western women, I think they're great. I kind of ended up in the situation where I am due to an interesting series of circumstances, where I ended up married to someone from the Philippines, and I'm certainly not unhappy about that, and I love the Philippines. I'll be moving there someday when I retire. On the other hand, if I have the money to do it, I'll be wanting to take advantage of the things in the West too, I have family over here. It would be nice to be able to travel back and forth and take advantage of all the different things you see here in America that you can't get in the Philippines right now, or someplace like that. On the other hand, the quality of life over there in some respects is better, just because you're kind of free of the rat race. But you have to remember, if you had a sufficient level of income and you were retired over here, you'd be free of the rat race too, you know? So it's not like the rat race only exists in one place. Being free of the rat race is not just because the rat race doesn't exist in those other places. It's just that you're able to retire there with enough money that you don't have to participate in the local rat race. The rat race is still going on. Everybody around you is in it. And that's why you hear people talking about, oh, you know, my wife's family and everybody wants money. You know, at the same time, they're talking about how strange it is that women over here want money. The rat race exists wherever you are. And if you're lucky, you can retire someday and get yourself free of the rat race. But that doesn't mean that everybody around you else, you know, all the other people next to you are not still running on that treadmill. Whether you're here in America, in the Philippines, wherever, it's just a question of being able to retire in some of those other places and have a good life without needing to personally be on that treadmill, on the merry-go-round. And whereas in America, you might not have enough money to ever be able to get off of it. And all the people out walking around getting their exercise. Some old guys, that could be me someday. If I wasn't moving to the Philippines, I might be here walking around Crane's Roost. But let's be serious. I might have to keep working till I die to be able to stay here in Orlando until the day I die, you know? And that's definitely why men are moving overseas. But you can't act like the women here are some kind of issue, like they're a problem just because they want the same things you want, which is to have a good life, you know? Some young woman hooking up with an older guy who's like 30, 40 years older than them, that might make sense in certain places if you can give them what they need. Over here in America, you're 70 years old, only have a couple $1,000s a month coming in, and you don't have any kind of savings or anything like that that you can live off of too, you really can't give a Western woman what they need. It's not about what they want. It's about what does any of us need to be able to survive over here. So take it easy on Western women. They're cool.